My name is Torean Gardner. I live in California. I'm from Ventura. I was gonna do this whole big old read this whole speech, and I'm really not gonna do that. I'm just gonna go and say what's on my mind. So as I was doing research for my speech yesterday, I read that somewhere that there was a study that took place in 2018 where the study that took place in 2018, it said that like there were 900 million manufactured guns in the world that are owned by civilians. Over 400 million of those guns are owned by civilians in the United States. Now that's easily over 50%, but the United States is barely over 6% of the population. Now, if you don't think like America has a gun problem, then you are sadly mistaken. So there's always a give and take. And now, because of this, crime rate has been going up, suicide has been going up, mass shootings is it's almost a everyday occurrence. And now, how are we getting these guns like in the hands of children so easily? Well, why is it so easy to like purchase one of these guns? In some states, it's harder to get a driver's license than it is to get a gun. You actually need photo ID, a bill with your name on it, a proof of address, a birth certificate, social security number just to get a driver's license. But in some states, you only need money and a state issue ID. Now, you bring that gun home, and there's no regulation on how you keep it. You can keep it in the closet, you can keep it hidden somewhere, and there's no regulation. If somebody gets a hold of that gun, you're like not really held accountable. There's no accountability. There's no regulation on locking these guns up and keeping them out of the hands of children. And that's pretty much where the issue comes from. So so now we have children getting a hold of these guns, which is pretty devastating to the community. It's really hurtful. Um, yeah, yeah. We absolutely have to do something. Um, there's more regulations on power tools and drills and saws than there is on guns and gun safety control and locking up your gun. There's regulations. You can, if you don't believe me, you can actually go to a warehouse and and go look at like a buzz saw, and you'll see a tag that says federal regulation lockout tag out, where you actually have to go get the key, unlock the machine, have somebody spot you to take the key back, and then when you're finished with it, lock it up again and put a sign that says like not in use or in use or something. But why can't we have the same thing for guns? Why can't we implement the same rules for guns in all states? I think it would make a, a, a great difference. Um, I remember this time when I was a young man. I was roughly about 11 or 12, and my grandfather just passed away. And I invited my um, best friend at the time, who was now a doctor, to come over and help me kind of sort my grandfather's stuff out and help me get rid of what I don't want. And I was going to give her the stuff she wanted because she was part of the family. And so um, we were going through the clothes, and I found this locked this like tin box, and it looked like something like you would see at like a fundraiser. And for some reason, I thought there was money in it, and I opened this box, and it was a pistol. And that's when things began to go wrong. As a young man, I watched a lot of movies. I watched a lot of westerns, and I would see these guys holding these guns up, and they would puff up their chest, and and they would look pretty tough and feel pretty bad, and even emboldened or powerful as you will. But and I wanted to know like what was that about in that moment. So as a 12-year-old boy, I picked up the gun and I aimed it at my friend. Um, um, at the time, I didn't know that you couldn't. At the time, I didn't know that all it took was to squeeze the trigger. I thought you had to cock it back and do all this stuff to make the bullets eject out the barrel, the chamber, or what have you. And and I remember just thinking like, oh yeah, I'm pretty tough, and I was in a playful way. I aimed it at her, and um and I saw the look on her face, and she was so afraid. She was so afraid, but I thought I had everything under control. I've seen a lot of movies. I thought I knew how to handle a gun, and I held it to her face, and I acted like I shot it, and I was like, boom, and the the gun popped. Now, lucky for me, my grandfather never kept a loaded gun. He didn't even have bullets for that gun. Um, I think it was just to scare intruders or something. But that whole situation would have went so wrong if there were bullets in that gun. I could have took out I could have took out my best friend or even did damage. Um, that would have been like one future doctor that never made it to blossom in this world. And if you think about it, how many future lawyers, how many future doctors, how many future politicians that we have to put in the grave that we have to bury because of these lack of regulations. It's got to stop. And I think the time is now. Thank you.